If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Before Epstein was the Franklin cover-up. Before that, the Finders. And long before that, the Cleveland Street Scandal. Pedogate Primer is a concise intro and overview of a growing child abuse epidemic worldwide. It features shocking instances of institutionalized and organizational pedophilia throughout history. Churches, cults, the world of arts and entertainment, the government, NGOs, charities, and major corporations are all complicit or culprits in many instances. Pedogate Primer delves into material that for many may seem like the stuff of conspiracy theories. For this reason, the book draws on academic resources, declassified documents, and other reliable sources, and steers clear of conjecture. Such shocking true stories need no embellishment.
Emailrevealer.com. People ask me all the time, hey Ed, are you still a private investigator? I sure am. Go to emailrevealer.com. We handle adoption investigations, infidelity investigations, where you give us your spouse's email address. We trace it back to online dating websites, catch them cheating online. Email tracing, locate or identify somebody from as little as an anonymous email address. Someone owe you money? Back child support? We can find that deadbeat, locate his hidden assets, locate his hidden bank accounts, find his current place of employment, and even assist you in obtaining a judgment and recover that judgment for you. Emailrevealer.com. Digital forensics, computer forensics, cell phone forensics, recover deleted text messages. Create a report that you can use in court. Emailrevealer.com, 800-572-9762. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay. Welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. I got people calling me right up until airtime. Isn't that fun? If you don't know, I have a radio show Friday nights at 8 p.m. You shouldn't be calling me. You shouldn't have my phone number. So we're going to have to work on that. Okay. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting through my website, emailrevealer.com, or you can email me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. If you like our show, be sure and check out our Patreon. I put up new content there every month, supposedly. I know I've been a little lazy lately, and I got a ton of stuff I got to sit down and put up. I thought I had some help coming in this week, but it doesn't look like I do. Still on my own here. I'm trying to get caught up after being sick. The archives are always free. Go to Spreaker.com, Opperman Report, and all the shows are uploaded there with no interruption. Tonight, we're back on YouTube tonight for the first time in about 2 months. So I'm getting all these messages. Oh, welcome back. Oh, where you been at? The show is not a YouTube show, okay? YouTube doesn't put up the shows for me. We don't put up half the shows. And once the shows are up, they delete the other half. So, it's nothing I can do about that. You want the shows. You can listen on AM, FM radio. All the stations are listed. You can go to the website, OppermanReport.com. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, all over the country, 150 cities. Otherwise, we're on every podcast platform that doesn't delete our shows, okay, like YouTube does. And YouTube is totally demonetized, too, so I have no benefit from putting up shows on YouTube, except all the wonderful complaints I get. Boy, I'm in a bad mood today. I'm in a bad mood, okay? I got to tell you. I'm in a bad mood because I'm just completely overwhelmed with work and projects and people driving me crazy. Yesterday, I had a very nice conversation with... First, I had a crazy job, and then I had a very nice conversation with a guest, and at the end of the interview, he said, "Oh, boy, this was so much fun. I could talk to you for hours." And I swear to you, I was triggered. Like, it was like someone hit me with a baseball bat. Okay, another person's going to start calling me up all day long. Please. I'm really not that interesting. I'm not that much fun. Leave me alone. Okay, well, I'm going to start being boring so people stop calling me and stop listening to the show and leave me alone. Okay. I want to get right into some stuff here because... as fate would have it. And, normally I'll get into all that stuff about who's coming on later and all that stuff later on in this show. Because I expect to have a lot of YouTubers listening tonight. And what's going on here? The name of the show is YouTube Predator Catchers. Right? So somehow along the week, I stumbled on one of these Predator Catcher YouTube channels. Right? And there's a bunch of them all across the country. And what these guys do is they create fake accounts, decoy accounts of little kids, and then they wait for online predators and pedophiles to contact them, and then they text back and forth, and they arrange a meeting with them, and then they confront them, sometimes live on YouTube, okay? And other times, they just confront them when they record it, then they put it up on YouTube. And a lot of times, they try to call the cops and try to get some kind of an arrest. Sometimes there is an arrest, But for the most part, I'm watching these things, and I was looking for a guest to have on the show. I contacted a few of these guys, and I tried to tell them, hey, listen, I'm Ed Opperman, I'm a private investigator. I'm a digital forensic investigator, so I know how to capture this evidence that you need to be capturing here. And I can give you some tips, some free advice. Plus, I want to interview somebody on the show, come on the show. So it seems that in this world of internet, YouTube predator catchers or predator hunters, as they like to call themselves, that they don't respond back. Okay, one guy responded back, very nice young man, responded back to me. But for the most part, because they're all caught up in that YouTube world. And right before the show tonight, one of these gentlemen, who I think is great at interrogation and interview skills, but there are some things I know I could help him with. And right before tonight's show, he did a live confrontation when he was confronting one of these predators, these pedophiles. And he's sitting right now in a jail. It looks like he might be getting arrested. And with these guys, I could really help them. First of all, with just, a preparation, setting up the confrontation, setting up a company, with some credibility behind them. And I have some ideas, too, that I'm going to present to you tonight on a better way to do these things that I think. And also, too, how to present your case to the police. First of all, how to, when you call the police, how to conduct yourself when you first make contact with the police, so you don't get shot and killed or arrested, I was really feeling this week, that something bad was going to happen, watching these videos. And they all seem to be very genuine people. They all seem to be very sincere in what they're trying to do, and some of them seem to be successful at what they're doing. But I know I could increase the success rate with each and every one of them that are out there doing this, with very minor changes to their work. So I'd like to cover that tonight. Okay. Now, the first thing is I think that each one of these guys, if they're really serious about doing this, and they're traveling around the country, they seem to be raising quite a bit of money. I even thought of doing it myself. It's something I think I might enjoy better than what I'm doing now. And first thing you should do is create a company, create an LLC or a corporation or a nonprofit corporation, and then get some insurance. Some errors and omissions insurance. So in case you're, assaulted or there's a lawsuit, or even if you're arrested, I think you could even cover some expenses if you're arrested. Very minimal costs of doing that. You could probably set up the whole thing, a corporation or a 501(c), and some insurance for like $500 for the first year. Peanuts for the money these guys seem to be raising. They got enough money to drive around all over the country. I think you're crazy not to. There's also some very simple, basic classes you can take for training. Now, they all seem to be very good at contacting the pedophiles. They know their way around Instagram and Tinder and Grindr and all these sites, and setting up the fake profiles. They all seem to be good at that. But it's the report writing. It's documenting your work and presenting it to the police in the correct way. These are all things that are very important. This is what I do, by the way. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Ed Opperman. I'm a private investigator, a digital forensic investigator. I've testified before Congress. I've been involved in a congressional investigation, a couple of congressional hearings. I was the private investigator in the lawsuit against Jeffrey Epstein. I just settled a case right now against Disney and a major country music star producer for this kind of activity. The death penalty qualified. I know what I'm doing. I wrote a book called How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. If you look up the reviews on Amazon, you'll see it's very appreciated by other private investigators. Okay? Know what I'm doing. Been doing this for a long time. And it's easy to make mistakes when you're a young guy. And I don't hold that against you. I'm not, judging anybody for what you're doing. I think everybody's sincere in what's going on here. And I'm sure you get a lot of people trying to give you advice. And so I don't want to step on any toes here or insult anybody, offend anybody. Okay. Now, so you set up a little company. So then when you're talking to the police or you're talking to the subject of the investigation and they say, well, who are you? You say, well, I'm a caseworker. I'm a field caseworker for online predator intervention. That's the company I work. That's the organization that I work for. That's the organization I represent. Here's you have one of those lanyards with an ID card on it around your neck when you show up. Some of them show up to these confrontations with all the chat logs and they have it all printed out. One guy uses a binder, right? But another guy just has it all printed out, like 3 inches of stacks of paper, and then he's like throwing it all over the place. Turning it. I guess a great interrogator. It's the guy who's in jail tonight, or who's been detained. They have a little problem with his activities where tonight I was watching it live. Seems like a nice guy. And he seems sincere. Young guy, 21 years old, 22 years old. Now, what I would do is, first of all, like I said, I would set up a company, get some insurance. Peanuts, $500 tops to set this up. I'd get some letterhead. I'd get some an ID badge. Okay, not a badge that looks like a cop's badge. You got to be very careful about impersonating a police officer. Okay, because cops get very territorial about other people trying to do investigations or police work and all this kind of stuff. So you got to make sure that your company doesn't sound like it's a security agency or it's a PI agency. I'll tell you right now that if I were to show up on some of these confrontations as a private investigator, the cops would be all over me about impersonating an officer and detaining people and improper this, improper that, okay? The bar, the standard is way higher for me than a guy who is a caseworker for this organization, okay? So right away, you got some credibility. Who are you? I'm a caseworker for internet predator intervention. Well, what are you doing here? Well, it's come to our attention that you're in contact with some children. You're trying to arrange a meeting with them. I'm here to make sure that that doesn't happen. And I'm here to prevent that so that the police don't have to get involved. There don't just have to be an arrest, a costly arrest. We don't have to traumatize a child testifying in court. So I'm here to help you, and I'm here to help this child by intervening on your behalf and on the child's behalf. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through all your chat logs here, and we're going to discuss what you've done wrong here so you understand what you've done wrong so you don't do it again. Now, rather than just take a bunch of screenshots, some of these guys just show up waving their phone at the guy saying, I got all the text, I got all the pictures, I got everything here in my phone. Look at it. They're waving the phone in their hand. Now, if you come to me and you know the kind of cases I've been involved in, some of them are kind of, intense. And when you show up, let's say it's a extortion or a blackmail situation, and you're showing up to the guy to do the extortion, and you're waving around the evidence in front of the guy, the first thought this guy says, well, all I got to do is get that phone out of your hand into my hand, and my problem is solved because you no longer have the evidence. So you have to have a little bit more discretion and a little bit more patience and a little more preparation. You can buy some inexpensive digital forensic software, okay, that, let's say it's a cell phone, right?
If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Paraben device seizure used to be like $2,000. The training for that was $500. Maybe it's doubled. Okay, but still, it's inexpensive. And so you can do all your communications with the pervert, with the predator, and then you could take the device and download it to a report that's printed out. Okay, that's all in order. There's a case number at the top. You got the target of your investigation, his name at the top. All that stuff is right there. It's not some chaotic situation where you're digging through papers. And the subject of your investigation, when you open up your folder that has your logo on it, and he sees this report, it's going to have a case number at the top and his name at the top. It's much more intimidating. And it seems also, too, that most of these people they come into contact with have mental issues. They have all kinds of problems. They're in poverty. They have all kinds of psychological issues. And or some of them are crazy. And you're walking up on a situation. Some of these people are just walking up on these houses or these meetings, and they have no idea who they're coming into contact with. They've made no preparation. It seems that there's so many people out there doing these crimes that you can pick and choose who you're going to go and confront and who you're going to go get, okay? And what you can do is you can wait, take your time, find the ones you can identify clearly. When you're making contact with them, ask for money. Hey, I'll come meet you, but I need $20. Can you PayPal to it? Can you send it to my Zelle, to my bank account? So now you got a record of who the guy is, okay? And also, too, if you're making a request for money, hey, I need cigarettes, I need beer, the person at the other end, they're thinking, well, this guy's not scamming me. He's trying to scam me out of money. He's not an adult detective trying to lure me into an arrest for perverted activity. He's trying to scam me for $5. So you can kind of, and then say, okay, well, forget the $5. I'll come down and, but when I get there, can you give me $5, please? Okay, you can do this. You can finesse these guys way better than I see these guys doing it. And I'll help you out. I'll advise you for free. Now, so you want to have a professional report, okay, that can be used in courts. Now you got the Parabon report there for your phone, your contact with the guy. There's another software that's pretty cheap. It used to be like $1,500. E-Discovery software that you can download all kinds of chats from Facebook and all that kind of stuff too. So you want to do your homework on all that stuff and have all that stuff in a professional report when you're going to confront the guy. Now you want to make a copy of that report so when the cops come, you have a fresh new copy to present to the cops. Okay, but let's cover first your contact with the subject in the investigation. What you can do is, you tell them, listen, I'll come to your house. I'm willing to come to your house and meet you at your house. They give you the address of the house. But you don't want to go to that house because you have no idea what's there, okay? If these guys are crazy enough to be luring little kids to their house for sexual activity and sexual battery and sexual abuse, they could have a whole backyard full of dead bodies back there, okay? You don't know. That could be a DEA agent. That could be an FBI agent that when you get there with your phone in your hand, you'll never be seen again because their buddies will take care of you, okay? It could be the chief of police showing up at that house, okay? You got to really be careful where you're showing up. You got to know who that guy is. Now, if you find out who the guy is and you run some basic searches, man, that you once again, okay, basic stuff. You can find out if the guy's in criminal records. You can find out if he's on probation or parole. You can find out if he's a registered sex offender. If he is, half your job is done. And you don't even need to run down there. If you got a good report over the internet, you don't have to go confront this guy. I know you want to do your videos and stuff like that. You want to get your viewers. But YouTube is not the real world. YouTube should be secondary to putting these guys in jail. So you tell them you're going to meet up at their house, you get their address, right? Then what you do is you say, well, you know what, I've changed my mind. Let's meet over at this location. It's right by a 7-Eleven over there. It's next door. It's across the street. You should have several spots picked out where there's a sign out in front that says, hey, Smile, you're on camera. It's a business that videotapes the surroundings of the business, okay? And you tell them, listen, I'll meet you over there, but there's a 7-Eleven right next door. Listen, I'm broke. Can you get me some cigarettes and beer? Okay, please? So the guy comes down. He goes into the 7-Eleven. He buys the cigarettes and a beer. That's another crime, by the way, another charge. But he's also on videotape now inside the 7-Eleven, and he's using his debit card with recording his name inside the transaction of the 7-Eleven. And you document that. 7:05, the guy was in 7-Eleven buying me beer and cigarettes. I just watched him do it. I'm across the street. As soon as you see the guy, you document what he's wearing, his height, his weight, his clothing, what kind of car did he just show up in, the color, the make, the style, the license plate, if you can get it, all that kind of stuff. Because later on, if you have to make a police report, you have all this information handy. You have your own personal ID on you. You have a business card about your company there, the Internet Prevention Intervention company there that you work for, okay? And by the way, too, if you have a legit 501(c), more people will donate money to you. You can even get some high-profile names on your board of directors, so you have a real legitimate deal going on there, doing real good work. These guys doing these YouTube channels, they have the energy to run around and do all this. They have the bravery to go confront people at their homes. I hate to say recklessly, but it's pretty damn reckless what I'm seeing here online. There's a guy sitting right now and being questioned by the cops. So there's all that. Okay, you make contact with the guy. They confront him. They say, "Listen, we just want to talk to you. We know that you are about to have contact with an underage child. And we want to explain to you that that's a crime. We don't want to involve the police. We want to help you, and we want to prevent this from being escalated, your neighbors finding out, and your life being destroyed." So we're going to go through this report, line by line, and show you where you've gone wrong, okay? Now, here you've contacted a child. You've asked them for a pornographic photo. You've sent a pornographic photo to the child. Now, let me show you. I've printed out the law for you in this state. And it says here that let's say it's Nevada, it's NRS 125, soliciting naked photos from a child. You have all that stuff ready and printed out. So when they start trying to tell you, well, I didn't know that was illegal. It's not a real kid. I never really sent it to them. I didn't understand their age. You have all that stuff printed out for them. So you could show it to them one by one and say, listen, we just want to make you aware that this is a crime. We want you to understand so you don't do it again and that you don't have any further contact with this child. There's really no point you have to tell them it was a decoy child, okay? That's really not for this conversation. That's for later on with the prosecutors and the DA and the sex crimes investigators, okay? Then you go through all their missteps and their crimes one by one. You show them what the law is and what the penalty is. So there's no all this arguing back and forth. Well, no, I'm telling you it's wrong. All this stuff nicely and calmly. And they're thinking you work for some state agency or something. You don't impersonate a cop. If they do ask you, well, where are you from? Well, we're from this nonprofit. I'm a caseworker. I'm a volunteer caseworker to prevent people from having sexual predators from having contact with children that they meet online. This is what my job is. If you don't want to cooperate with me, then it's a whole nother ball game. All this goes to the police. I got it from the police right now. I show them this report here with your name on it. Okay. And if one of these guys wants to talk to me too, I'll give them a lot more tips too, because there's a lot of little wording and phrasing you can use. Like, we trace this back to you. Okay. We located your home. We located back to you by our you don't want to say investigation, but all this can be done, okay? So at the end of this, now you've had your confrontation with the predator. You've showed them where they're wrong, and you say, okay, now to make all this go away, and you can go back home to your family and your wife and your job, there's going to be no police contact. Here's the acknowledgement form, okay? And this last page is going to be something you have all prepared and printed out. It's going to say at the top in bold letters, acknowledgement. Then it's going to say, I, with a space. The guy writes his name in there. Acknowledge that I did this following behavior. Okay? I sent a picture of my nude body to a child. I contacted a child on the internet to try to get them to meet me at this location. You have them write in the location. At the end of all this, they sign it. Okay? Now, it seems like some of these guys, too, what they do is they trick the guy into giving them their device, their cell phone, and then they start flipping through there and they find child pornography in the guy's phone. And now it's kind of an urgent matter, and they want to call the police. 911 they want to call right there on the spot. Now, like in tonight's incident that I was just watching live that prompted me to do this show, there was no reason, really, to ever call 911 and to ever have any contact with the police, which is a risky, hazardous move. If you're going to be having contact with the police 200, 300 times in a year, I can guarantee you a couple of those times aren't going to go well. With this gentleman tonight, who's very, very good at interrogation, I guess he was like a high school debater or something. He's really good at debating with the predators. He's really good at controlling the crime scene, let's call it, or the scene of the interrogation, the safety of everybody around him. He dominates the scene. Now, the problem comes in is that, and there's other guys, too, that are very good to it, dominating the interrogation. The problem is, as soon as they want to make contact with the police, they have to turn that off. They have to turn that off and let the police dominate the scene. When you're first making a phone call to the police in a situation like this, where you have you're a guy there, you're doing some kind of a fugazi, quasi-police confrontation of a criminal, and you got a couple of guys with you, and you're using a little bit of intimidation. When you make that phone call to the police, you want to make it clear, hey, my name is such and such. Okay, anytime you come in contact with the police, it's thank God you're here. Oh, thank you so much for coming. Okay, my name is so-and-so. Here's my ID. Here's my business card. I'm a volunteer caseworker for this organization here. Now, that's a whole different world from the police showing up and start screaming, this guy's a pedophile. I got all the evidence right here in my hand. Look at all his papers. Okay, that's a whole different world. Okay, these two gentlemen are with me. They are also caseworkers for this organization. They're filming all this for our safety and for your safety and for the safety of, now those guys on the other side, those are the people we're here to make contact with and interview about. We have information about their activity online on the internet that's unlawful and illegal. And as a matter of fact, we've got a confession from them. Look at this. Now, the cop's going to be overwhelmed because the last thing, you don't even need to do this, call the cops in the street there. I would go down to the police station, make an appointment and go down there, find out who's in charge of sex crimes, sexual offense crimes in that little county. But also, too, if you can't do that, if things get out of hand and you can't do that, at the very least, because I see the contact, when they come into contact with the police, the first thing the cops are saying is, well, you got ID? You got ID? Who's who? Who's here? Who's what? Who's what here? When you give them they're running you for warrants, man. Don't think they're there to help you. They don't know what's going on. All they know is that you're the most aggressive, dominant guy at the scene, and in their head, you're the danger. And they got to worry about you because they're all concerned about their own personal safety, and that's what their training entails. They show up to take control of the scene. And if you're there waving these documents in their hand saying, this guy's this and this guy, he doesn't know who you are. He thinks you're some angry father with a gun. He has no idea. And a lot of them start ranting and raving about how they're an online organization. It just makes no sense. It's chaos, and that's a bad situation. And I had a bad feeling all week long when I was watching these videos, looking for somebody to interview, that there's a little too much aggressive hostility when these people are terrified to begin with. And I know that I could approach these guys and get confessions at every single one of them. Every single video I saw there, I know I can get a confession from if it's done the right way, with the right settings, the right controls, the right attitude. And I know also, too, that I could get convictions because everything would be documented. You want to have an affidavit that describes your entire investigation. From the start, my name is so-and-so. On such and such a date, I created this Instagram account with these photos, Exhibit A, using this name, right? I work, I'm a caseworker. I work for this organization. I'm a volunteer. I'm 18 years old. I'm 25 years old. I live in a state of such and such. I'll show you how to do this. We first made contact with Mr. John Davis on such and such a date. This time, he contacted us and he immediately sent us a nude photograph of himself, okay, which is a violation of NRS 125. You have all that in there. You show this to the cop. He's going to see this and say, well, this is something I can respect, okay, because otherwise it looks like a lot of these cases that even when the cops are kind of saying, okay, give me the phone and give me this, we're going to investigate this, nothing's ever happening. Nobody's following up on this stuff. And half the time they're just showing up to They're not even reading that stack of secondhand documents. It's all shredded and crumpled up. They're not even looking at that stuff. You can't think that these cops are even when I contact the police with a professional report and I'm intervening on somebody's behalf, you got to follow up, and you got to send it to the police department. You find out who's a detective and who's taking this report. A client comes to me, they got a problem. They made a police report. Nothing happened, okay? Ed, we need you to investigate this and get our proof over to the police. Okay, right away I call the cop who's on the police report. Well, who's the detective in charge of this case? Who's been assigned this case? Well, no one has. Well, okay, I have further information that I want to present to you. I'm going to FedEx it over to you right now. You sign for it. And then you take a look at what I got, and you present that to a detective in charge of this case and have him contact me. If nothing happens from that, you can send it to the DA's office. You can send it to the Department of Homeland Security. You can send it to the FBI. There's all other agencies who also investigate these, whatever case you're working on, that investigate these things that you could probably get some kind of juice with. The best one is the Department of Probation and Parole. Now, the guy tonight in this case, the guy was a convicted registered sex offender, okay? And all you got to do is run him, find out who his PO is, and you don't even have to show up at his door. You just send the information over to the PO's office. The guy's under arrest. Now, it doesn't produce a good video that's interesting that everybody wants to see, but what's the goal here? The guy tonight who I'm talking about, who seems to be a nice guy, who's very good at interrogation techniques. As a matter of fact, too, if anybody wants to learn interrogation techniques, you want to look up Reed Essential, the essential guide to Reed interrogation and confessions. Okay, it's on Amazon. It's like $50. REID. If you just put in the Reed interrogation technique, it'll come up. And this guy should read this, okay? He's a natural at this. He should read this. And if he did, when the cop came in and started interrogating him tonight, which we saw on the live stream, he'd know right where he was sitting. His YouTube channel goes by a bunch of different names. One is a PP Official, which is Predator Poachers Official. So when he's talking to the cops, he says, well, who do you work for? Well, Predator Poachers. That doesn't gather much respect from the cop or the DA's office. So you got to remember, okay, these cops, they show up to respond to the scene. You don't know what the job they just left was. Most likely it was something like a DUI or a domestic violence or a domestic dispute, a divorce custody dispute transaction thing where one of the spouses is waving these documents in the air saying, he's guilty of this, she's guilty of that, he's guilty. And they'll look at the documents and say, well, it's a civil matter, we can't do anything. Okay? So when you got a real criminal there, okay, you don't want to be this waving, frantic guy. You want to do everything nice and calm, okay? Look, I have everything for you here. And once again, I said, if you don't hear back from these cops in a couple of days, you got to start following up. And you can take a complaint, an affidavit of complaint. You don't have to send it you can refer that to the DA's office yourself, okay? Like the idea is that when you have a crime or a problem, you call the police, they investigate, they produce a report, and they refer to the DA's office, the district attorney's office, the prosecutor's office. But in many, many jurisdictions, almost every one that I've ever dealt with, you can go to the prosecutor yourself with an affidavit and complaint, if it's with the law cited and with the evidence and exhibits all there. That's fine, and they have their own investigators that'll come in. And see, a lot of times too, especially even myself, but in a situation like this, they want to duplicate the investigation that the civilian did in order to be able to do this. And I'm watching all this stuff, and they're saying, well, to make this stick, there's certain, there's chain of custody, there's all kind of things that, and they're just assuming, okay, that these ragtag YouTubers didn't take the steps to preserve the evidence correctly, to document their steps and all this kind of stuff, and they're waving around a cell phone. And, oh, yeah, we'll take that for you. We'll take that. We'll bring it as evidence. But nothing ever gets done with that. So you got this army of guys out there, well-meaning guys, who are willing to confront these people on the ground, travel around the country and do all this, and just with a couple of basic steps and improvement, you can see some real results here, man. And there's a course you can take. And there's a course you can take for $500 on how to do these internet predator investigations. So you'll have a little certificate. You can put that in your affidavit. I was trained by such and such. All of our field workers are trained. The YouTube channel goes by a bunch of names. One is a PP official. Another one is George Flowers. He's the guy who's sitting in tonight because he took a phone out of a guy's hand. That's a whole other thing, too. When you're confronting people with strong arm, to take a phone out of somebody's hands, like a strong arm robbery, that's a serious crime. But the thing is, in this situation, what happened was, and I watched it live, the predator, who was a convicted sex offender, we're not defaming the guy, handed the phone to the guy to talk to his son. And the guy's a savvy guy, and he starts looking through the phone for pictures, and he starts finding pictures of child pornography. And the guy says, give me my phone back. I want my phone back now. He kind of lost his temper and said, I don't have to give you anything. You better behave yourself. It's paraphrasing. So that's an iffy situation. But now, myself, if someone sends me a cell phone or a computer hard drive and there's child pornography on that, I have to immediately bring that to the police department. I don't continue with my examination of the phone. I don't touch it. And I immediately bring it over there to the cops. I drive it over there. Okay? So that's why sometimes, too, you'll even do these examinations without looking at any of the stuff you recover from the computer or the cell phone, so you don't have to deal with that kind of situation. But anyway. Oh, thank you. Essentials of Reid Technique, Criminal Interrogation and Confessions. And that's I know there's two of them, so you have to buy both, Volume 1 and Volume 2. But Volume 1 is fine if you just get the first one. Okay, let's take a little commercial break, and we'll be on our way. I want to talk to you after this about QAnon and JFK Jr. A little change of pace. And I got a real serious thing I want to talk to you about. Let me pull this up. Oh, boy, it's a heartbreaking situation. We're going way over our time here on the commercials. But I know these YouTubers are going to complain about commercials, so pretty much a free show tonight. Okay. Hold on.
He was holding scissors with two hands.
I can do it up here. I got a whole bunch of computers here. I got like 3 computers on my desk. I got to pull up my notes for tonight's show. Okay. There's this incredible movie called Heaven Knows What. And I think I talked about it last week that I'm trying to interview this young lady. And her name is Ariel Holmes. And this movie, Heaven Knows What, it's available for free online. If you just go to IMDb, look it up, and they give you the choices to watch it online for free. And she's like a homeless, heroin addict, junkie in New York City. And she attempts a suicide at the beginning of the film because she's so in love with her junkie boyfriend, who's this abusive creep jerk, man. Anyway. So, turns out that the actress in the movie, Heaven Can What, was actually also the real person in the movie who wrote the story. And while she was acting in the movie, she was an active heroin addict, So just a powerful, powerful movie. And, when I saw it, then a couple of things were going on in my life. And I said, you know what? I want to interview this woman and do an interview with her. And she was even talking about how she couldn't get her book published. And I said, damn, I'll help her get the book published. We can self-publish that book. She'll make a fortune. Because there's a movie out about it. Plus, I'll get her interviews and stuff, So I contacted her. And wouldn't you know it, about a week ago, she gets back to me and says, what kind of radio station do you have? What kind of radio show do you have? And I wrote back to her. And I don't know what made me go to her page. I guess I went around checking her Instagram and stuff. And it turns out that her fiancé has died. This gentleman named Jeffrey Paul Moran. And he had died like the day before she got back to me on that message. So there's a GoFundMe fundraiser. Funeral fundraiser for Jeffrey Paul Moran, Moran. You can go to the Ariel Homes fan page on Facebook, and there's a link to it there too as well. Or you can go to the Jeffrey Paul Moran page. I believe there's a link to one of the I also have it too on my Facebook and my Twitter too. I've been putting up. Anyway, it's just tragic, that this woman who's had such a hard life to begin with, and now just at the same time, I just happened to contact her to do an interview because she's a brilliant artist in many, many ways, and now she's suffering from this tragedy. So if you have a couple of bucks and you can donate, I donated $25 myself. Funeral fundraiser for Jeffrey Paul Moran. If you can help out these people in trouble. All right. Be right back after these commercial messages. And now a word from our sponsors. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119. If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Before Epstein was the Franklin cover-up. Before that, the Finders. And long before that, the Cleveland Street Scandal. Pedogate Primer is a concise intro and overview of a growing child abuse epidemic worldwide. It features shocking instances of institutionalized and organizational pedophilia throughout history. Churches, cults, the world of arts and entertainment, the government, NGOs, charities, and major corporations are all complicit or culprits in many instances. Pedogate Primer delves into material that for many may seem like the stuff of conspiracy theories. For this reason, the book draws on academic resources, declassified documents, and other reliable sources, and steers clear of conjecture. Such shocking true stories need no embellishment.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome back to the Opperman Report. I am your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Opperman Report. You can also email me at oppermanreport@gmail.com. My website's called oppermanreport.com. Got another website called emailrevealers.com. What a long day, man. I'm pooped. So coming up after this, what is this? People are so I'm so mean. Coming up after this, Reverend. No, we got the other one first. A show by Travis Scott concert with this guy Donnie Morrison, who's a Wall Street Journal reporter, who's an expert on these hip hop artists and stuff. He's working on his case about. I don't have it in front of me. Sorry, but it's coming. It's a good show. Then I got another one with Reverend Bill McDonald, who talks about all kind of spooky stuff. That I'm going to have another portion if I could find it. Then I'm going to put in the members section because we take like another half hour with him. Now I seem to have lost a couple of interviews I did this week. I guess I didn't send them over to Ed Parnell, or I forgot, or whatever. So I'm going to have to dig through all my recordings and find those. So I got my work cut out for me this week. And then tomorrow I'm taping with got the book right in front of me. The Valediction. And it's about Afghanistan, our war in Afghanistan and stuff like that. And, it's a Trine Day book. Then taping with a guy after that. What's his name? Got a big weekend of taping here. Oh, did I pull it up? I don't know because I was doing that. Maybe it's a woman. I thought it was, Tony. Yeah, Tony Retman. Yeah. Okay. Tony Retman, who's written a bunch of books about the radical activists and leftists of the 60s and 70s that were kind of revolutionaries. And had that kind of... anyway. Have that. Then get this. Remember that story came out a couple weeks back about Monkey Morales, who was at... intelligence agency, Cuban, Ricardo Morales, intelligence agent, drug smuggler, assassin, and how he came out, and his son came out, and his sons came out and said, hey, our dad told us that he trained Lee Harvey Oswald. So I got the son that he told that to is coming on my show. Pretty exclusively, too, by the way. Got a lot of stuff, big stuff in the works. If I just had some help, really, man. And people just gave me a break and stopped with all this crap, man, annoying me all the time. With their complaints and their... Ugh. So, let's see here. By the way, the show that's coming up after this is about Who Killed Mac Dre, too, as well. And not just Travis Scott and that travesty that went on there with that AstroTurf thing. But only got 4 minutes to kill. So I was going to tell you about... last week, there was this crazy rally in Dealey Plaza on November 5th. About a couple of hundred people showed up in the rain. Many flew from all around the country with big signs saying Trump, JFK Jr., 2024. What happened was, at all the Trump rallies, there was this character who used to travel around and visit all the Trump rallies, much like that guy that was the pipe bomber and Maurice Simonet, who's the Blacks for Trump. This is another one of those characters whose name is Vincent Fusco. And these are QAnon-type observers, conspiracy characters who are so attracted to all this and gullible Trump victims, would see this guy sitting behind Trump, and they said, that's JFK Jr., and JFK Jr. really didn't kill him, didn't die, but he faked his own death, and he's going to come back, and he and Mr. Trump are going to run for president. They're going to arrest Hillary and arrest all these pedophiles and all this crazy stuff, right? Crazy, crazy stuff, man. So last week they had a rally because they came to the conclusion, these guys, these geniuses, that JFK Jr. was going to reveal himself at Dealey Plaza, I think it was November 5th, on Election Day. And they were going to announce their presidency. And then they were stopping people in the crowd that they thought was Dale Earnhardt Jr. They thought it was Kobe Bryant. And all this list of Michael Jackson was going to come back. Well, they all faked their death to work on this big plan to elect Trump and save us from the pedophiles. And they were stopping people in the street and saying, hey, aren't you Dale Earnhardt Jr.? You know? And so when nothing happened and JFK Jr. didn't show up in the rain there, you know, they came up with a plan that, well, it's going to happen still, but at the Rolling Stones concert, okay? And JFK Jr. is going to come on a stage during the, you can't always get what you want. And then it got even crazier than that. And they said that JFK was also fake his death, and he was going to Keith Moon or something, or Keith Richards. So what these people, I don't even know. You know, I don't even know anymore, man, you know? But anyway, I'm almost happy that we don't have enough time to talk about all that. You know? I'm almost happy, man, because we're out of time, and I got to go. All right? So thank you for your time, guys. I enjoyed tonight's show. It's nice to be able to try and contribute. I see these young guys doing this stuff, and I said, boy, you know, listen, when you're young, you don't know. When you make a lot of mistakes, it's not that you're bad or you suck at what you're doing. I don't want to criticize anybody. I think they're doing great work, you know. I think they're all very sincere. Although, I when I first started looking into this and I started seeing these videos, I says, well, how come, you know, maybe it's just me, but how come they do all these videos and there's never a guy that says, hey, I'll give you 10 grand to delete this video. I'll give you 20 grand to delete this video. Or the lawyer calls up, you know, let me call my lawyer in the middle of this confrontation here. And the lawyer offers them some, you know, why does that never happen? You know, well, maybe it does happen. Okay. And I started, that's really why I started looking into this could be a good little, side business here. But it does seem, I've seen a couple of times where people did offer money and they kind of just dismissed it right away. So these guys all seem to be real true believers and sincere people. So I'll give them that. All right, guys. Good night. Good night. Good night. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week. Another long week. And now a word from our sponsors.
Before Epstein was the Franklin cover-up. Before that, the Finders. And long before that, the Cleveland Street Scandal. Pedogate Primer is a concise intro and overview of a growing child abuse epidemic worldwide. It features shocking instances of institutionalized and organizational pedophilia throughout history. Churches, cults, the world of arts and entertainment, the government, NGOs, charities, and major corporations are all complicit or culprits in many instances. Pedogate Primer delves into material that for many may seem like the stuff of conspiracy theories. For this reason, the book draws on academic resources, declassified documents, and other reliable sources, and steers clear of conjecture. Such shocking true stories need no embellishment.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents, they handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at KMDLaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to KMDLaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And AquaDam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an AquaDam can do the job. An AquaDam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An AquaDam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An AquaDam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give AquaDam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at AquaDam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.